Okay, welcome back. Let's begin step 3 in beating the dog days of summer. So before we step further, let me remind you of the strong current that you are fighting against. The dog is strong and mighty. The dog star's summer lethargy kills you and your team's productivity by a full 20%, which compounded amongst your team is devastating. What I have been teaching you so far is you cannot fight this force with force. I have been teaching you what is known as Aikido in martial arts, and that is how to take this opposing force, instead of fighting against it, use this force for your productive power. The reason why the dog dominates your office is that you don't work with the summer vibrations. You have to you have to use the summer to drive focus, to drive engagement, and drive high productivity in compressed periods of time for the benefit and the reward of being able to summer. But if you just try to fight force with force, continue to work as normal, and not ever feel those good vibrations, then that is when downshifting happens. Projects take longer, lunch breaks get longer, and personal shopping, internet, and social media browsing become your team's escape hatch. So step number 3 to make sure that you work with the dog star and not against it, and to reinforce step 1 and 2, number 3 is this: fully unplug. When you leave the office, cut the proverbial cord. You cannot get into a mental, emotional, and psychological rejuvenating REM state unless you fully disconnect. Look, even if you just quickly check your email while standing in line, waiting for your wife to come out of the dressing room at the mall, or standing in your kitchen, you are immediately transported mentally, emotionally, psychologically back to the office. And its stresses and anxieties and pressures rebuild in your frenetic system. Do not kid yourself that you can just sneak a peek for a second and it won't disturb your rest or time off. It absolutely does. And then you have to begin the cycle of recovery all over again. Speaking of kids, get your kids to fully unplug with you and the family as a whole. This is a team member, Julie, and her kids dropping their phone into the basket before family night starts. The look on their faces shows how much they love that. This is why most people never recharge. Even if they are so-called taking time off, they aren't really. This is why most people feel overwhelmed, overstressed, perpetually exhausted, even when in reality they aren't really doing much more at the office than anyone else has in the past. In fact, here's the stark reality. Leisure time has grown significantly over the last 50 years. We have more time off than at any time in human history. I know it doesn't feel like it, and that's the point. Because you keep jumping in and out of the office, mentally, all day long, even during your so-called leisure time. This keeps you from truly ever getting your brain off the grid. And it's you doing it to yourself. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to put an autoresponder on your email and let everyone know that you're not available at all, and to recontact you at the date that you will be back on, if their message is still important then. That last part is a huge tip. The autoresponder instruction will prevent you from having hundreds of emails to come back to, which makes going on vacation horrible, right? When you do get back, what you do is you just auto-delete every message that came in during your time off, as your autoresponder message indicated that you would. You will be surprised how few messages come in after the time that you're back concerning issues that happened when you were gone. Miraculously, somehow, most things just took care of themselves. Leaders here, insist that your team members abide by this practice as well. Allow them to post an autoresponder with a request to have any message that is sent to them be resent at a certain date when they're back. That will give them the unplugged mental peace that you want them to have, and to be sure that they don't come back to a pile of email that takes 2 or 3 days just to get back to zero. That is, and most of those emails will be completely unnecessary and mostly now obsolete, and they would have spent another week digging out of it. That would be a double whammy of productivity loss. You can avoid all of that with the strategy that I just gave you. Here is the standard unplugged autoresponder any member of my team activates when they're taking time off. I suggest standardizing something like that as well. I know that this is hard. I know that you've been blowing it on this discipline, but take the unplugged challenge. When you end the day, I want you to unplug fully. Nothing life-threatening happens in off-business hours that can't wait until morning. You're always just inventing that inside your head. It is always a factor of fear. But if you continue to check, your mind, your body, your creativity, and your productivity is waned. When you take time off, I want you to unplug fully. Make sure that you plan and set your team up, that you have the coverage, of course. Then bye-bye. We don't want to hear from you until you're back on. On our team, if we hear from you while you're on vacation, that's a penalty. You will have to do burpees if we hear from you while you're on vacation. We need you to rest, recover, and come back with a full tank to kick ass and operate at high performance when you're on. So if you're up for the challenge, even if it's only for the next 2 weeks, you're going to take this challenge on, I want you to write #unplug in the comments below.